This humble abode tucked into Papago Park is actually one of the most historically significant places in all of Arizona. Let's check it out. It is not every day that I am invited into the living room of Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. This was her living room. In fact, this was her actual chair. But Sarah, there's a really interesting story. Sandra Day O'Connor lived in this house, but it used to be in Paradise Valley.
That's right. That's right. It was moved after she was appointed to the Supreme Court by President Reagan in 1981. The house was sold. They moved to Maryland, just outside of D.C., and then there was, the new owner was going to demolish the house, and there had been countless historic things take place here, both when she was in the Arizona Senate and served on the court. In any case, three dauntless women stepped forward: Ambassador Barbara Barrett, Elva Coor, Laddie Coor's wife, and Gay Ray, and they said, no, it cannot be demolished. 3 years later, and $3 million, the adobes were numbered like Legos, one through whatever sequentially, moved and restored in their same place to Tempe, Arizona, thanks to then Tempe Mayor Hugh Hallman. That's why it probably took 3 years and $3 million, but here we are, and it's now listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
It's got the mid-century modern Frank Lloyd Wright feel.
Right, that's right. That's due to their draftsman, D.K. Taylor. They could not afford, as newlyweds, an architect, but they did find a very talented draftsman.
Well, tell me about some of the meetings that used to take place in this house when Sandra Day O'Connor lived here with her husband.
Right. Well, she was very well known for her collaborative spirit and hospitality. She was the first woman to serve as the majority leader of the Senate, elected by her colleagues for any state in the Union. And one of the reasons that she was so admired is because she would bring people together, even across the aisle, and when there was a difficult issue, she'd say, okay, everybody come to my house, I'm going to cook Mexican food, chalupas, we're going to have beer, whatever, and we're going to figure it out. Alfredo Gutierrez, Burton Barr, Leo Corbett, and others, they gathered here, and over a meal, she'd say they might start at the fringes, but they'd work in and they'd figure out enough common ground to go back and write legislation to help our state. So that collaborative spirit lives on at this house. It is a symbol of civic spirits, collaborative efforts, and that's part of our mission at the Sandra Day O'Connor Institute.
So she would cook Mexican food here in this kitchen.
Right here in this kitchen, and there's her picture right there with her husband, John O'Connor, and she was an excellent cook. One of her colleagues in the Senate said, you know, we'd be sitting there and she'd be baking cookies while she was talking to us, and we would be talking about the bill, and so she was the quintessential multitasker.
Who are some of the people who have been here? You mentioned some, but I see photos. Looks like Republicans and Democrats. I see Ronald Reagan. I see Barack Obama.
Right. Well, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian award in the country, from President Obama. Of course, we know that President Reagan made history with his appointment of the first woman to the court in 1981. And in fact, one of the calls from the White House came to this very house when she had been tapped to be the first woman and shatter the glass ceiling, as they say.
Well, yes, and this is a wooden ceiling, and if people want to see these original beams that such a historically important figure lived underneath, can people tour? I know there are events held here, but can civilians get a tour?
Yes, we can schedule them through our website at o'connorinstitute.org. But we have held a President of the United States. As I mentioned, George W. Bush had a private dinner here. We've had Supreme Court retreats. We've had the Secretary of State. So we've had volunteers for the Red Cross. So we do it all, and we are very proud. The Institute is very proud to be the curators and maintain the house.
And it makes us proud as Arizonans to know that Sandra Day O'Connor was from Arizona. She lived, she practiced in Arizona for many years. The verdict is unanimous. This house is incredible, and you've done a phenomenal job moving it to this new location and maintaining it so beautifully.
Thank you. I appreciate it.